Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and tonight we're talking with Martin Bailey of the AARP. He is an ambassador for the AARP, and we're talking about tax scams. Scams continue to be an enormous problem, and there's a variety of them, not just here in Fairfax County and in Virginia and across the United States, but internationally. Scams are being busted, one recently here in Virginia. And so, Martin, we welcome you tonight to talk to us about what we need to be aware of as people get ready to file their taxes with the IRS, the deadline being April 15th. What are some of the scams that you can help us to recognize that you are aware of taking place right now?
Oh, thank you for having me, Catherine. Three of the scams, the more typical scams that happen around this time of the year, is the first one is the tax identity theft. And this is a big one around this time of the year. What happens is the scammers will file a fraudulent tax return in your name. So you've already filed a tax return and you don't know about it. Second one is tax transcript scams, or what that is they take a document. A lot of times it will be your tax transcripts, and the tax transcripts is all of your tax returns, and it's usually used for getting a loan, a government loan, or applying for credit. A lot of people will use it that way there. Or they'll take other tax documents and they'll notify you and say there's something wrong with these tax documents and you need to correct them immediately. And then, of course, you have the Irs and Posture Scam, where you'll get contacted by the scammer and they'll say they are from the IRS and you have an issue with your taxes. You either owe money, or you're due a return, or they need to validate some of your tax records, or you have an issue with one of your documents and you need to correct that. So they're the scams, the more popular scams are going on. Now, the identity theft one, in 2019, you had 27,400 identity thefts that were reported. In 2020, you had over 89,000. That's almost like a 300% jump in that scamming, in that particular scam. And that's probably because of the virus. So the scammers know what to do, and they have the information, and they're getting that information. One of the things that I'm asked, how do they submit your tax return? How do they get that information? Well, scammers can get that information several different ways. They can go on the dark web and get that information. They can do what we've talked about before, phishing emails, where they'll send you an email and they'll ask for information. And a lot of the emails may be like a two-part email where they'll ask you to fill out this form, and it may be to win a lottery or win a prize or something like that. And they'll give you a second form to fill out or put you down on a URL to fill out more information. And sooner or later, they'll have enough information on you that they can actually submit a return. In fact, in Frank Abagnale's book, Scam Me If You Can, they had, in one of the scams they had in Frank Abagnale's Scam Me If You Can, they had the scammer was posing as a chief financial officer and talking to a accounting clerk. And basically he asked the accounting clerk, I'm doing a report providing with all the W-2 forms of all our employees. So she provided him with all the W-2 forms. Didn't think about it. This was late on a Friday night. Didn't think about it until Monday morning. And by then there was several hundred tax returns already submitted on these people. So this is, the way they get that information, the way they do the tax returns. This is how they get that information. Now, some of the things that we can do to think about what we're doing here is, one, we want to try to do our taxes as soon as possible. So as soon as you have all of that paperwork for your taxes, get with your tax preparer and submit the taxes. Or if you prepare them yourself, submit the taxes as soon as possible. The IRS, in fact, I looked at it this morning to see if the time frames changed. The IRS tries to take about three weeks to 21 days to get that taxes back to you. And this is one of the things you're looking at. You submit it. Yeah, best way to submit it is not necessarily through the mail, or if you do submit it through the mail, put down signature required. Best way to submit it is electronically, so they have a record of it. And once you submit it, you're ready to go. If for some reason the IRS comes back and tells you they refuse to process your return and you may be told that you've already submitted your return, and your return has already been, or you already submitted your tax receipt, and your return has already been submitted to you. Your refund's already been submitted to you. That's one big red flag there. A second red flag is the IRS will actually send you what's called a potential identity theft letter. And this is the IRS looks at your tax return. They figure, okay, you're a victim of identity theft, and they'll notify you with this particular letter. And the third way the IRS may identify you as a victim of identity theft is saying that you've not claimed all of your earnings. So if you receive any of this type of information from the IRS, either state or government or federal, your chances are that you are a victim of identity theft.
But this is important, isn't it? Isn't it important, Martin, to point out to people that you will get a letter from the IRS? The IRS isn't going to call you on the phone.
That's correct.
They're not. So when people call and say, and this is true whether they say they're with the FBI or they're with the DEA or they're not going to call you on the telephone. So if you get these calls, hang up or let your answering machine pick it up. Don't do it. Don't return the phone call. So, and if you have a question, it's easy enough for people to find the number for the IRS. You know, if you get a letter and you're not sure if it's real, it's easy to go online or, and say, what is the number for the IRS? And to call the legitimate Internal Revenue Service and say, this is who I am, and this is what my question is, because I got a letter or somebody called me on the phone. I think we have to remind people to be smart. Be smart.
That's something I'll go over later on. In fact, the scammers now are sending out letters. Just like the real IRS, they will send out letters. So now you no longer can say, okay, well, I got a letter from the IRS. You now have to basically research that letter out. But the ways you can protect yourself against identity theft is, one, file your taxes as soon as you're able to. When you file your taxes, you'll want to check the refund status to make sure that, one, the IRS has them and the IRS is working on it, on your taxes. And all you do there is go to irs.gov/refund. It goes on the IRS site, you put in some information, and the information will come back to you as far as the status of your tax return. The other thing is, know your tax preparer. When you walk into your accountant's office, or used to walk into your accountant's office, or when you give them your taxes, do they have security, or there's papers strewn around that you can walk in, you can look at people's tax returns? Okay, make sure they're, I'm going to say, neat and tidy, that everything is in its place, that I cannot look on somebody's desk, or you cannot look on somebody's desk and find out information about, somebody you're not supposed to, or information you're not supposed to have. So you want to find out who your tax preparer is. Has he been recommended to you by a friend? Does he work for a big company? Does he have any other Better Business Bureau reports on him? What type of individual is this person that you're dealing with? And this is one of the things you want to know. Catherine, I think you have AARP's tax help. If you want to put that on the bottom of the screen. And nice thing about that, they have, I checked that out last year, and they basically have two sets of volunteers. The first set would be somebody like me, where they greet you, they make sure you have proper paperwork, and then they turn you over to another volunteer. And most of these other volunteers are retired either CPAs or accountants or tax preparers. So you're basically getting a professional to prepare your tax with AARP, and at least you know that AARP is legit and an idea of who they are. And there's other legit companies out there, but you want to make sure, just double check them, just for your own, really for your own safety.
Right. So I'm going to mention some of these. The Aarp Foundation has Tax Aid, TAX-AIDE, Tax Aid. And they used to meet with people in person, and I think now they are still doing it by appointment, but I think some of this is now happening virtually. But if you go on the Aarp website, you're going to find both information, phone numbers, and the way you can contact. So we've got Aarp Foundation Tax Aid. We've got Tax Counseling for the Elderly, TCE, which is the federal grant program that runs this. You've got Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, VITA. VITA works with a lot of area nonprofits to help people who don't know where to turn and with help filing their taxes. VITA is also a volunteer organization, and the IRS has Free File. So there's IRS Free File. So all of these are legitimate resources. You also have H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, and all the big name tax preparers, and also credit unions. There's a lot of credit unions, if you belong to one, who also offer tax preparation. So if you have an account, ask your financial institution if they have people who help you prepare your taxes, especially if your taxes are simple, which a lot of seniors and people who are on limited incomes don't have complicated taxes. And so there's lots of resources. And to Martin's point, make sure when you ask for help that you know it's a legitimate resource. And it's easy to check as to whether that's true.
Definitely on that one there. The other thing is, if you think you've been had your identity stolen, you want to report it to the IRS, and that's with an identity theft affidavit. And you can get that on the IRS websites, identity theft affidavit, fill it out, report that to the IRS. You also will probably want to report it to maybe the FBI or Federal Trade Commission, just in case. Make sure you report it, and also local law enforcement. One of the things you want to do is make sure that all your documents are secure. And once you're done with your documents, you don't need them anymore, shred them. I'm in the habit right now of shredding everything. Envelopes, from investment firms, whatever, just shred everything. And that's the best way to do it. And when we say to make sure your documents are secure, this is even in your house. Don't leave them on your desk for, if a maintenance man comes in, he happens to, scan over the desk and sees those documents. So you even want to secure them in your house. You also want to protect your identity online. We've talked about this several times. One, do not give out any information to anybody unless you know why they want that information. Make sure that you are protected with antivirus software and malware, and they keep that updated. Same thing with all the programs on your computer, on your PCs, and on your telephone. Make sure that you're protected with all those, and they're always updated. When you use passwords.
And I think we should point out, too, because we have to go to a break really quick, Martin. I think we should point out, too, that phishing, when we talk about phishing, if you're not familiar with that, we're not talking, it's with a P, phishing. And when you get an email and somebody asks you to click a link, and it might look legitimate, it might look like it's a order from Amazon I've gotten before, right? And it's like, well, click here to check the status of your order, but it's something you didn't order. That's phishing. And so when you get emails and people ask you to click on a link, don't do it. And this is one of the things that Martin really preaches is when in doubt, don't. Say no, close the door, hang up the phone. And when we come back from our break, he's going to give us a little more insight about the ways that we can protect ourselves from tax scams and from other kinds of scams. So please join us after this break.
Myth. I can party with people as long as they don't have symptoms. That myth is false. As we've seen, up to 40% of people who have COVID-19 are asymptomatic and can pass it on to others. So I'd recommend avoiding any social parties, especially indoor ones. If you want to try to socialize but reduce your risk, I'd recommend meeting outside in small groups, continuing to wear a mask, and socially distancing from others if you can. Then together, we can keep COVID-19 out of school.
For ways to keep your community safe, go to backtoschooltogether.com.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is gonna help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Our fight against coronavirus isn't over. Let's wear face masks in public. Stay 6 feet or more from others. Follow state and local guidelines. And wash our hands frequently. Let's move forward together. Learn more at coronavirus.gov.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and tonight we're talking about tax scams with Martin Bailey, who is an ambassador with AARP. Martin has been working for years on helping people to understand scams, which are morphing, changing, new ones pop up all the time. He is also involved in Scam Jam. And if you have never attended the Scam Jam event before, done in conjunction with Fairfax County, you have an opportunity on April 23rd to participate virtually in the AARP Fairfax County Scam Jam. And it will cover all kinds of scams. Of course, that's past the filing deadline of April 15th for filing your taxes, which is why we're doing the show right now, so that Martin can help us understand the many ways in which your taxes can be compromised and what you need to be looking out for. So Martin, you've talked about tax identity theft. You've talked about the ways in which people can, reach out to the IRS to check on the status of their refund, to file an affidavit if they think that their taxes have been compromised with a fraudulent return. What else should people be aware of?
Well, one of the things we talked about is the antivirus software on your computer. And the other thing you want to do is passwords. Make sure your passwords are strong and complex. And you may even want to think about doing a passphrase instead of a password. The other thing you can do on all your financial accounts, and I highly recommend this, is do a two-factor authentication. And this is where you put your username and password in, and the organization will come back to you and ask, or the investment people will come back to you and to ask you, how do you want a code sent to you? And they will send you a special code that you have to put in before they'll actually put you down to, or put you into your account. Like you talked about the phishing and imposter scams, imposter emails. One thing people may want to do is Google, what does a phishing email look like? And you'll get several sites on there that have examples of either IRS or federal agency emails and stuff like that, and what to look for on as far as red flags and what to look for on certain emails. So that's a good thing to do, is to Google something like that. The other thing the IRS has come out with this year, this January, is the Irs Identity Protection PIN. Now, anybody can get this as long as you have a tax identifying number or a social security number and you file your taxes. This helps the IRS and you prevent tax theft or prevent identity theft on your tax return. In order to get that, if you just Google IRS Identity Protection PIN, one of the sites will be the IRS site. Go on there and it will give you a nice step-by-step what to do and how to get that particular PIN. And it's highly recommended that if you've already filed your taxes this year, get it for next year. Every year, the IRS will update that PIN for you through the mail. So they'll send that to you through the mail. Okay, we've talked about do not give out your personal information. Do not click on any links that you may see. One of the things is do not carry your social security card unless you absolutely need to. Just keep that locked up in the safe. And when you go into different websites and stuff, unless you know they are secure, and that's what they'll have a little padlock up there, or it'll be HTTPS, then you probably don't want to be on that website. And a lot of the anti-malware and antivirus software that you may have on your computer will actually warn you that you're going on to an unsecure site. The other thing you want to do is do not use public Wi-Fi. If you go to Starbucks or in the hotels and stuff like that, those Wi-Fis are not protected. They're not secure. They're public Wi-Fi, and they can be intercepted or they can be scammed very easily. So you don't want to use a public Wi-Fi when you're doing any type of financial transactions. You'll want to get a VPN on your phone and also on your computer. First thing in the morning when I log in, I do a VPN. I turn my VPN on. I'll keep that on all day. So no matter what site I'm on, I know whatever transactions I'm doing, whatever information is going back and forth, at least that's protected. Another type of scam that you have going on is it's called a tax transcript email scam. And this could not only be your tax transcript, which is the document that has all your taxes on it, your tax returns on it, but it could be almost any type of tax document. And what you'll get, you'll be notified by the IRS, or the scammer for the IRS, and that could be through email. Usually it's going to be through email. It could be through a text, a letter, or anything like that. And they'll say, hey, you've got a problem here, log on to this site or download this attachment because it needs immediate attention. And one of the things they'll stress is that it needs immediate attention. And if you don't give it immediate attention, they will have some type of penalty. You may lose your account. You may not get your tax return. You may lose your social security number. They'll threaten you with anything like that just so that you download it. They put the fear in you so they download it. And once you download it, you've probably downloaded malware on your computer. Or if you haven't done that, then it's a phishing scam and they're going to ask for your information. So one of the things you want to do on here is, one, if you get the email, do not open it, just delete it. Or if you don't want to delete it, send a copy to fish@irs.gov, and that's fish with the PH, phishing or at irs.gov. And remember, the IRS will not send you unsolicited emails, texts, phone calls, any other transactions. All their business is done through letter. Now, unfortunately, the scammers are also sending you letters. If you get a letter from the IRS, double check the letter, make sure it's got the IRS letterhead and everything on it. And if it gives you phone numbers, like Catherine said, find that phone number someplace else and double check, is it the IRS phone number, and what does the IRS want you for? Why are they looking for you?
And I think it's important, Martin, to understand that if you feel threatened, if you are scared by a communication you get, acknowledge the fact that you're afraid, that you feel threatened, that you think you've done something wrong, you're being accused of having done something wrong. They're preying on you. When you feel fear, understand you need to stop. You need to stop and recognize you're reacting exactly the way they intend for you to react. You're panicking. So panic is never good. And the IRS, the U.S. government, is not designed any of its communications to induce panic. So if you're feeling panic, stop right there. Your government is your friend. It is your friend. And so when you get these phone calls or emails, if you are afraid, that is a sure sign something's wrong and you need to stop, calm down, and think logically about how you need to go to a legitimate, credible website to find out the phone number for the FBI or the IRS or whoever. And you need to call them and say, this is who I am and this is why I'm calling, because they're going to reassure you they're not looking for you. So
and
please.
The IRS will never threaten you on the phone.
No,
well,
and
they will not threaten you at all. Period. They will work.
Exactly.
They will work with you if you owe back taxes. They will work with you on how to pay them. If you or do a refund, they're not going to ask you for your social security number. They already have your social security.
Right. So you just need to be aware of your own reaction. You need to react. You need to be aware of how you're feeling, because that is that panic, that sense of panic is the immediate red flag that something's wrong, and you need to stop. You need to stop talking. You need to hang up the phone, shut the door, shred the letter, but reach out through a credible source to get confirmation. Don't get sucked in, because these scammers are really effective. They understand you're scared and they're playing on you.
They're professionals. You got to remember,
they are.
The scammers are professional. This is how they make their money. This is how they do their living. The last scam for the IRS is really the Irs and Posture Scam. This is where you'll get usually a phone call. Now, the phone call has been robocalls, where you'll get the robocall, and if you answer it, they'll say, press 1 for live agent. You have an issue with your taxes. Press 1 for live agent. So you press it, and what that does, that flips you over to the scammer, who is going to ask you for certain information or tell you what's wrong with your taxes. Now, most of the times it's going to be that you owe money, so they're going to say, hey, you owe money, and they, like Catherine said, they'll put fear into you. They'll say you owe money, and if you don't pay the money now, there may be an arrest warrant out on you. They're going to deport you. They're going to suspend your social security number. They're going to suspend your benefits. What they want to do is they want to get you emotionally involved. They want to get you fearful of what may happen to you, what's supposedly going to happen to you, so that they want you to immediately act on your fears, act on your emotions, and do whatever that they're telling you to do. So this is the one thing they're going to do. Now, again, when they contact you, the robocall, you'll press 1. Do not press any numbers at all. If you don't know the number when you see it on your identification, let it go to email or let it go to voicemail. If they leave a voicemail, if it is from the IRS, find out, okay, what the phone number is. And then what you'll want to do, you'll want to look up the phone number. Call the legitimate IRS and ask them, are they looking for you? I guarantee you, if the IRS or any other government agency is looking for you, they will know. or the number you call, they will tell you where to call or how to get in contact with the people that are looking for you. So always double check that. And same thing on the mail that they're sending to you now, the legitimate letter or the illegitimate letters they're sending to you. They want you to pay immediately. And when they demand the money, they're either going to do it by debit card, gift card, wire transfer, Bitcoin, some way that is almost untraceable. And they'll want it. And again, they'll want it immediately. Do not pay anything. The IRS will, or no government agency will demand money over the phone or demand you pay immediately. They will always have something that they can work out with you or give you an explanation of why you owe it, how much you owe, and some type of program they can do. Another thing what the scammers will do is they'll want verification. They may call you up and say, we have a refund for you. All we need to do is verify certain information. And what they'll want to do is they want to verify your address, your social security number, things like that, information that they'll want. Ways to protect yourself. Remember, the IRS will not contact you by email, text messages, or telephone. They're only going to contact you by letter initially. The only way they'll email you or contact you any other way is if you've contacted them first. So remember that. When you do contact them, ask the caller to provide their name, their badge number, and everything like that, and the callers will do that without a problem. Become familiar again with what the fraudulent emails may look like. Remember, the IRS will never threaten you, no matter what you owe them or anything else. They will not threaten you at all. Do not click on any of the links. And then if you think you may owe taxes to the IRS, you can visit this website, irs.gov/balance due, or phone number is 800-829-1040-1040. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Again,
well, you know something, this has been a huge amount of information, Martin, and I know you've got more, but we're at the end of our hour or a half hour. So I want to say thank you, first of all, for all of these resources. I want to tell people that you can find additional resources online. You can go to the AARP website to find additional assistance for your taxes. You can put the Scam Jam on your calendar for April 23rd and attend that virtual conference that will give you even more information on how to avoid scams. And in the interim, file your taxes early. And if you're in doubt, close the door, shred the email, and hang up the phone. Thank you, Martin, so much for letting us know what it is that we all need to know here about tax scams.